I just want to talk briefly about the decline of trust. Because I can't think there's any business in here where it isn't important that your customers trust you. And yet, the bad news is they probably don't. I draw the evidence for that from this report. It's called the Edelman Trust Barometer. It's something that a huge PR agency called Edelman, which has offices around the world, undertakes once every year. It's been running 10 or 11 years now. They talk to people in 25 countries around the world, running from the newly industrialized countries such as Russia, India, Brazil, through to the established economies such as ours in the United States. And they look at two groups of people. They look at the general population, and they look at what they've called the informed public. And that's pretty well us in this room. People who are probably college educated, who read a newspaper, watch current affairs on TV or radio, where the facilities exist, use the internet, and are in the upper quartile economically of their population. So they're the opinion formers in their various countries. And interestingly, only 38% of the informed public in the UK trust businesses, quote, to do what is right, unquote. Now, however you define that ethical, moral question, and I think the researchers deliberately leave it a bit vague, the fact that substantially less than half of the population think that businesses will do the right thing is quite interesting. As is the fact that in the previous year, the figure was 44%. And if you look back over the history, okay, it goes up and down a little, but the general trend is downwards. So business is not trusted to do the right thing. Only just over a third of the population worldwide thinks that businesses listen to their customers. There's not a business in this room that does not say, we deliver a quality service or a quality product. Half of the population doesn't believe you. If it comes to talking about a company, if I'm talking to you about Metrix, 21% of the informed public will believe that the chief executive is telling them the truth. So the other 79% don't. So you believe about that much of me. The young lady in the picture is Tammy, who you met at reception when you came in. I guess she qualifies as a regular employee. 50% of the informed public will believe what Tammy tells them as a regular employee. So you believe that much. David, I guess, qualifies as a technical expert, and he scores better than either of us, because 2/3 of you will believe what David tells you about Metrix. This sets an interesting backdrop to the Marcom's exercise, because we're all out there telling people things about our business, and most people will not believe what you're telling them. So that sets us a bit of a challenge. Who else do we trust? Now, quite interestingly, the media is something that we trust. Of the various institutions the Trust Barometer looked at, government, business, non-governmental organisations, media is the only institution that increased its trust rating. And not only do they trust them to tell the truth, but they trust them to do the right thing. If it's about conveying information about a company, people will believe what they read in the traditional media, newspapers, radio, TV. Interestingly, the social media, by comparison, is much less trusted by the informed public. Different results if you look at the nation as a whole, but the informed public is very conscious of the fact that, if you're going on to TripAdvisor, you've no idea who actually these people are that are giving you an opinion. But look at the figures, 14%, that's up from only 8% last year. If I can use the racing analogy, as we're sitting here at Huntingdon Racecourse, it might be an outside bet, but it's coming up fast on the rails, isn't it? And the other people we trust is our peers. 65% will trust a person like myself. That's up from 43% last year. And this is even people that we don't know. So TripAdvisor, to take it from an example from the business to consumer marketplace, you can see why that is important in terms of your overall marketing communication strategy. And it would be foolish to think that that does not also apply in the business-to-business market. So what's going on LinkedIn in forums that relate to particular businesses and particular market sectors is really important. So what do we draw from all of that? One is, I ought to shut up and sit down and let somebody else talk, because most of you won't believe me. One of the learnings we're going to derive from this, and my colleague's going to talk about internal communication shortly, is if it's Tammy and David you believe, from my business point of view, if it's your customers believe your workforce and not you, then your workforce needs A, to know what the message is that they're delivering on your behalf, and B, to be then delivering it credibly. And they therefore need to believe it themselves, because one of the other things that comes out of the survey is, even in these troubled times where jobs are hard to come by, your workforce won't lie for you. If your service is crap, that's what they'll tell the customers.